welcome to the special edition of Silver Screen with me, Ropiwa Madzana. We're coming to you from one of the entertainment hubs in South Africa, and that is Monte Casino, where we are going to be having a private screening of an African-produced and directed film, 27 Guns. Now, this film documents the history and the liberation struggle of Uganda, led by current President Yoweri Museveni. This marks a turning point in the production of films in Africa produced by Africans and really setting the precedent of international standards. So let's go through and watch the film.
A true story that documents the tale of Uganda's Bush War in the 1980s. Many of you may be full aware of Uganda's history, but what this story does is it takes us through that journey. It takes us through the journey of the country's first democracy, a journey that I know that many people are fully aware was not the easiest. It was a journey that was full of war, full of way too much violence, but also jam-packed with immense hope of the people.
People seldom know the difficult journey behind struggles and transformation, the tribulations of the Museveni family, and the great sacrifice, both on the part of the president and his family, are an inspiration to all of us. It is true of Uganda, as it is of Africa. We have an invincible spirit. Throughout the continent, there are just so many stories of faith, hope and determination and courage. At ABN, we are thrilled to be able to give some hope of these stories a platform.
Why are you here this evening?
I'm here this evening because today is quite a very special day. We have heard and listened and sat at so many premieres of so many films. But this film to Uganda is a very special one. It tells our story as Uganda. Every country, every locality, every being has a story. Uganda is no different. We have our own liberationary story. So this movie specifically brings that story closer to the world. And today is the day we are premiering it here in Joburg. So it's a very wonderful day for us as Ugandans. And I, as High Commissioner, I couldn't stay back. I had to be here.
And what do you think about the way in which stories are told? Do you think that Africans are telling enough of their own stories?
Yes, we have done a lot to tell our stories. Specifically right now we have so many authors who are writing books. But when we sit down and analyze the audience, the target audience, many people will say, yes, we love reading. But there are many more people who would love watching. So what we are doing today is to target all these audiences in all possible ways. But we should do much more. When you visit places like United States of America, you will find about 200 plus museums telling their stories. But you reach our countries, you cannot even count enough of your palm. They will be finished. So we should do much more. Yes, we have started on a good note, but we should do much more. But with the filming, I really love the way we have gone, because Uganda, we are going to target each and every individual that we intend to educate about what Uganda stands for and what made us.
My name is Mubanjizi Arnold. Yeah, I acted as Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. In the movie 27 Guns, just witnessed.
How did you get the role?
I got to know about the auditions through my mom. She's called Keloi Kemji. Shout out to her. Yeah, I got to know that. So she told me about the auditions, and I was like, oh man. But I didn't know it was about Uganda's liberation story. But but I was so excited to go do the audition. So I ended up going for the auditions, and then you know how it goes at the auditions. Yeah, you go through, you try out a certain skit, and then So after I did the audition, I got the role. I haven't had that much experience on screen, but as far as the role goes, it was really challenging for me. There was so much happening at that time, but I did what I had to do. I got some time to study the president. Yeah, it really helped a lot. Yeah, but then I felt, as an actor, you can't be satisfied. You feel like you still have to, learn a lot about your character, the character you're supposed to be portraying. So
Let's talk about the history that you portray and how important it is for us as Africans to be telling our own stories as Africans.
well, the history really is. I think it's one of those stories that have really, you know, blessed Africa. As specifically, if you look at what it did for Uganda, the heroics in the movie done by the heroes. Uganda's liberation story. I think Africa will be very proud, and I think is already proud of such, a historical story.
Why was it so important for you to put together this particular story?
It's a very big story in my life and the life of our country, Uganda. It is a historic biopic that tells the story of how the Bush War, the liberation struggle began. So I think it's important to many Ugandans. And it's just a burden that was put on my heart to try and tell the story.
How long did it take you, and really some of the challenges that you experienced to put together this production?
Challenges are very many. I will not even get into those, but it took from beginning of writing the script to wrapping the film and then showing has taken. We began in 2016 writing, and now we are showing in 2018. So altogether 2 years from writing, filming, editing, everything. So it's taken 2 years. Began early 2016, and now we're done.
In terms of Africans telling the African story, do you think there's enough done of that? And just your thoughts on where we are in terms of being able to tell a story eloquently as Africans?
I think it's not enough done, but I think we are, we're trying, I think, as a continent. I think as of now, probably West Africa still has a monopoly on that, probably North Africa. But I think we're joining the race now, and I think it's a good time for us, as not just East Africans, but Africans, to really just tell our own stories in our own voice, which is, I think, very important for us, so that it's authentic to our histories or to our, experiences.
Has the Honourable President watched the movie?
Yes, it was premiered last week in Kampala, and we had him and the First Lady and many of the living generals who participated in the struggle present. So that's a lot of pressure, because you have people saying like, no, that's not how it happened, or yes, so it was interesting, a lot of pressure for us, but we were very grateful that they honored our invitation and that they could be there. So yes, they saw it, and they said yes. A couple of inaccuracies and a couple of things that that soldiers don't do and stuff like that. But otherwise, on the whole, you try to tell a good story.
Talk us through why it was so important to be part of this particular production.
I have a historical connection to the story. First of all, secondly, I'm very she's strong on our history being captured and being recorded, and one of the ways is film, and this is a very important story. It's very big, and it's very true and very real, and I don't see why we shouldn't. And I'm happy to be part of history, really, and making history and keeping it. Yeah.
Do you think that there are enough productions that are produced by Africans to tell the African story?
No, actually, we're very into a lot of fiction and drama and there's love stories, but we don't capture our history. And the generations that are passing away with a lot of knowledge and history, and then the younger people don't know anything. They just see what's on TV and believe it.
And then just a final thought from you, with the production that we've just seen tonight, what message do you hope will be carried through to those who will be watching?
I hope that the young people can believe in themselves, that they can make a difference without having to be so dramatic, and they can be inspired from within, They don't have to be many. They don't have to have a lot. They just have to believe in what they're doing. And also to believe that Africa has great stories by Africans.
It was just fantastic. I think it was gripping. The story's been told in a very realistic way. And I think, there's so much intensity in everything that we saw today. So it's just brilliant.
Let's talk about the importance of Africans being able to tell the African story, and really whether or not you think there's enough being done by Africans to really portray that history that we've seen this evening.
This is a very good question because, one of the things that I've been working on for the last 10 years is building documentaries on different subjects in Africa. And the thought process behind it from the beginning has been that history has its own way of distorting itself, and it's a good way to archive and and tell those stories while people are still alive. Otherwise, what happens is that the interpretation of history changes, and I think what they've done with 27 Guns is a great story about a family. And if you see the trials and tribulations of the Museveni family during this period, everybody sees what they stand for today, but nobody really can identify with what happened in 1981 and the period leading up till 1986. And I think this is a story that needs to be told. And there are hundreds of other stories of the trials of people in different parts of Africa. And this is what we're trying to do here at the ABN Group for the last 11 years. And this is a mission that we have for the future as well.
You have seen Museveni. Give him the gall to take on the giants.
Really marks a turning point in African filmmaking, really giving some gravitas to African stories told by Africans. This film is just the first step in the many to come in documenting the liberation of Africans by Africans. And on that note, that's where we leave it for this special edition of Silver Screen. From myself, Ropiwa Madzena, and the team, it's good night. And of course, we'll be seeing you at the movies.